Well, they say that timing is everything. I've been trying when I started my channel, which is really meant more to give me some structure around some of my bonsai work and maybe a little record for myself more than anybody else. Certainly not because I have more than a beginner's perspective on things. Anyway, I was trying to do a weekly session, and I think I've got enough trees to allow me to do that, even in the winter in Canada. But I bought what I thought was a nice background so that the trees were easier to see. Promptly broke it while I was trying to fold it back up. So I bought a more simpler one now. I've got it, but it took a while to get here, Christmas and all that. And as it happens, I've got some maples to prune today, and they decided to demolish the house next door. It's been sitting empty for about a year, and we knew there was a new house going to be going in. That's happening now. So that's not going to deter me, though. I probably will narrate over some of my work instead of, I imagine you can probably hear the drone in the background. It's only going to get louder when I go over to the trees. So yeah, so my goal today is really to work on my two maples. One is a forest planting and the other one's a single. I think what I want to do is trim the forest back to from the tops to encourage some new branches in the springtime. And with the single one, I imagine I'll probably be looking more for long internodes and just cutting those back to an appropriate leaf bud. And it's January in Ontario. I understand that not a bad time to prune maples, so that when the spring does come, they won't lose as much energy as they would if they were trimmed in the spring. So let's see what we can do. Here's the forest. It's about probably 3 years old, give or take. I planted it last year, though, in terms of it's all been together. So here, as I say, what I'm really trying to do is just trim back a little bit from the top up to, but not including, let's say the last good leaf bud. And particularly, again, I think I trimmed all the trees back, the leader, but also the branches to the extent to which there was a long internode. There's a number of them. Since it's a forest, I wasn't worrying so much about it. Let's say if a branch was going towards the center of the forest, I think that's still great. But let's just see, here we go. Always takes some time for me to think, and I'm thinking on the fly here. There's kind of a long one, so long internode. Trim that back in hopes we get some good branching occurring. And also looking for a bit of a triangular shape, obviously the top being, the middle being the highest point, and then trimming back to the left and the right to allow for that. If I was a patient man, I probably would have grown all of these in pots to get them thicker first. I am by far from a patient man, so hence my approach of planting them and hoping that they do thicken up, which they have already. There's a big long straight one to get rid of, and more of the same. There were only a few actual dead branches, but I certainly trimmed those off as well. That seemed a little drastic, but I am trying to be more courageous in my cuts. Here's a long one, but again, Not looking necessarily for height in these cases, but to encourage some branching and looking forward to seeing how this looks next year. There's a strange one. I think I trim off the thinner of the two branches. They come up together, and it seems they kind of compete for each other. So here goes an entire branch trimmed off. And I think I do trim this guy too, in hopes again that we get some good growth next year. And same with the last one. So here is my other maple. I think this is an Amur maple. You can't see it perfectly in terms of the front, but this is one I purchased kind of pre-bonsai, and I've been working on it a little bit. Again, the same thing, just trimming it back a little bit, looking for any long internodes and trimming those off, but retaining the bud that precedes them so that that's where the growth will come from. I left this one more or less intact. There's a long internode, but I don't think I might actually take that one off entirely at some point. I'm not sure about that one, but for now I had not. And that's it. So here's a bit of a tale of two trees. Both I planted and trimmed a few months ago. Two Fukian teas. One has come back very nicely. This poor dwarf, not so much. And so I've been trying to baby it back to health. Fingers crossed. Finally, about a month back, I did some light pruning on my Chinese elm. It has amazed me ever since I brought it downstairs and into my grow tent. And under lights and under better humidity, the leafing has been amazing. And it looks so much better than it did even in the middle of the summer. So I'm very impressed with this. I'm not going to mess with it until the springtime. I'm just hoping it continues to be as vigorous as it's showing right now. And then I think I'm going to be repotting this one in the springtime. Here's a Christmas present my wife got me, a gnome for under the tree. And finally, here's the grow tent that I was referring to. Not a lot of capacity, but what is there is doing very well.